stakeholders like you all, who are all joined in large numbers to listen to this presentation. Today, we have more than 6,700 plus projects across the country, right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, from Kohima on the eastern side to Kutch on the western side, cutting across all the 5 climatic zones, offices, residences, warehouses, factories, cities, metros, rail, you name it, where you live, where you stay, where you learn, where you work, where you manufacture, where you pray also. The Mumbai Siddhivinayak Temple and other places of worship, all of them are adopting IGBC's Green Building Rating Program, which is again based on the 5 elements of nature, Panchaputas, what we have, like what we say, the 5, like by 5 fingers in our palm, the 5,000-year-old ancient history and wisdom itself, our own great-great-grandfathers, they found the significance and importance of 5 elements of nature. So traditionally, India always live in harmony with nature. That is in our DNA, number one. When you talk about the buildings and built environment, we always design, construct, and operate in and around, in harmony with the environment around our building site. This is how we are traditionally following. So like I said, 5 elements of nature and 5 Panchaputas, which has been embedded in our IGBC's rating program. So today we have 5 great stalwarts also with us. Mr. Sugas Kulkarni, Mr. Venkat, Ms. Tejasri, Ms. Ashwini, and architect Pravin Kumar. These are the 5 true champions, and I would say that they are all the change accelerators, because we need accelerators nowadays. So everybody knows the climate crisis is hitting us hard. We are losing a lot of concerns. There are concerns are there, economy. It is disturbing the environment, ecosystem. So these are all the change accelerators who will be sharing their entire rich experience and knowledge and the wisdom with all of you for the most awaited exclusive session done for Godrej and Boyce team as a premium supporters for the Green Building Congress. It's an annual Asia's largest flagship event. So the stage is all set. Without any further ado, now may I request Mr. Sugas Kulkarni, the Vice President of R&D Appliances on Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company Limited, Mumbai, to come and share his entire varied experience on pioneering in green technologies in appliances. His resume is very, very elaborate and exhaustive. I don't want to read out all of them. He's heading the R&D of the appliances and Godrej and the Boyce Manufacturing Limited. He is instrumental in introducing electronics and refrigerators. The moment you open any of the refrigerators, if there is an electronic device, temperature setting, lights coming on, he has played a very, very important role in bringing electronics into the refrigerators and India's first electronic controlled DC refrigerator also. And he has won enormous amount of national and international recognitions for his involvement in R&D, design and technology, including, to name a few, the list goes on and on: GMARC, Design Awards, NECA Awards for refrigerators. And the recent one, he has led the company in the winning the Global Cooling Prize initiative to provide affordable comfort without warming the climate. So whom else we can expect? None other than Mr. Sugas Kulkarni, Vice President of R&D Appliances from Godrej and Boyce Manufacturing Company Limited. Over to you, Mr. Kulkarni.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thanks for your kind introduction. I was just listening to you, and then you talked about Pancha Mahabhutas, and you said that there are 5 guys from Godrej. I was just wondering that at the end of this session, we don't end up like Bhutas, but we have a good session. And we share our learnings to the whatever we have done a little bit. I hope it will be useful to participants. Thanks for this introduction. Let me just see, how do I share the screen. Just one minute. I hope my screen is now visible.
Yeah, it's visible, Zari. You're all set. Good, sir.
Right. Thank you very much. So, first of all, a warm welcome from my side, and good afternoon to you all for the CII IGBC Green Building Congress pre-event on green construction, technology, products, and appliances. I come from the appliance industry, and that's where I will talk about some of my experiences in a journey what we have taken for quite some time. If you really look at the image of the Earth, which is taken from space, it looks really wonderful, isn't it? And that's why people also call this as a blue planet. In this photograph, we can very clearly see blue oceans, we can see some land, some mountains, some forest, and of course, a cloud cover. And if you take this photograph at different point in time, it manifests in a different look. So it's really a wonderful planet, the Mother Earth. And this mother has really supported human civilization for thousands and thousands of years. And I'm sure since in our Indian culture, we call this as a mother. Mother will always be, happy to support its child's. And no matter whatever you grow, mother will always feel us as a child for another thousands of years. So the children will change, but human as an element, I hope it remains constant. And that is very, very important. While mother is really, blessed us for so many thousands of years, I think it's important to realize that we are just a custodian of a great, blessings, the great treasure, what a mother is, and we need to pass it in at least as is, if not in a better condition to the future generations which are coming. And therefore, it is important for us to be really sensitive about climate changes, about imperatives around sustainability, around the regulations which are already existing around the green, and also some of the regulations which may come in future on the green, to ensure that we sustain as a religion, as a race, human race on this wonderful planet. If you see some of the images which I'll just like to share with you, these are images which are taken from global events which have happened just in a recent past. It's a matter of few months. This one is a familiar, some of you may have it in your fresh memories, is all about Kerala floods. And one of the ex-environmental minister, while commenting on that, he has categorically talked about the action plan on Western Ghats, which was prepared way back in 2011, and imperative, to implement that. This is a similar nature's fury related to floods. This is from Blessen in Germany. You can just change the image and you'll see that this is happening all across the globe. This is from Zhenjiao province in China, just in July. This is our own backyards in Maharashtra. This is a Chiplun floods in this monsoon of 2021. And we see that this is going on and on. So such events are becoming very, I would say, at a very decent frequency. And I think that should ring bells in our mind. So while what we saw so far was all related to flood, this is about extreme heat. And this is an image from Canada, where temperature remained above 48 for 3 consecutive days. Can imagine this happening in the country which is known for its cold climate. So why is happening? Why is this happening? What are some of the fundamental reasons? Because the experts believe that world is now 1 degree warmer than what it was in a pre-industrial era. And therefore, understanding these sort of changes, the nature's fury, the global community came together, and in 2015 they signed the Paris Agreement with a intention to limit global warming well below 2 degrees centigrade, above the pre-industrial temperature level. This was extremely crucial. So therefore, what was the thought process behind it was scientific community believes that if the temperature rises to 3 degrees or above, world will no longer be safe and a comfortable place to survive and sustain, forget the growth and a prosperity. So different governments have taken pledge, be it India, be it US, China, or India. We just talked about 3 countries because I believe these 3 countries and economies will remain very, very relevant even in the future in terms of a number of calendar year what is captured. And it is important and it is nice to see that these 3 important economies have taken a pledge which is going to help towards the larger cause. And it is also a nice coincidence that I think tonight our Prime Minister is traveling to Europe to attend G20, followed by he will be on to Glasgow to attend the summit on environment. So broadly, the Indian plan is how can we really reduce our dependence on fossil fuels? How can we really enhance the forest cover or a green cover? And one of the important thing is also how do we promote super energy efficient products? This is at the national level. I think at a industry level, it's important, and even at a consumer level, it is important to really think about and inculcate habits, to have a judicious use of energy and also conserve resources. And this is the principle of 3R kicks in. And therefore, our responsibility as a corporate citizen is to embrace sustainable practices across the value chain. When introducing, about what IGBC does, Mr. Anand did talk about design, construct, and operate. So therefore, in the context of, I would say, products and appliances, I would say, be it product design, be it a product supply, right from iron ore into the finished product, and then after sales, we need to embrace sustainable practices in the entire value chain, which eventually delivers the product. So some of you may know that green is one of the core values of Godrej, and therefore we have been trying to practice, follow green practices, and therefore it is but natural that we were first company in India to change over environmentally harmful CFCs, and we did that 4 years ahead of our obligations under Montreal Protocol regime, and we were one of the very few companies, I may say, in the world, definitely in India, only company which moved from CFC to hydrocarbon in a single stroke. Most of the companies adopted a 2-stage approach, but we at Godrej, we believed that it is important not to take a step, but straight away go to the much more environment friendly substances in our products. Then, by that time, energy regulations was coming in. So we are the first country in India to offer 5-star rated products. Then we were first in India again to introduce pure refrigerant, natural refrigerants, which are easily accessible to entire global community. We did that. Then we did introduce a propane as a refrigerant, a natural refrigerant in AC, and we offered it as a commercial product available to customers at large. So we continued our journey in other appliances in terms of medical refrigerator, be it washing machine, and also the chest freezer, the product which we have just introduced last year. So if you see, all these actions have been way ahead of regulation. And in some of the product categories, there is no regulation yet. And in some of the product categories, the regulation is there, but it is still in a voluntary phase. But we decided to go ahead and start labeling and develop products with the highest energy efficiency band. So some of the things which we did, we just did not adopt, environment friendly materials, but we know that appliances do consume, energy, electrical energy, and therefore we work continuously to reduce energy consumption of our products. So here, if you'll see that from year 2014 to today, we have reduced energy consumption practically by 50% in our very popular refrigerator product. And how we could do it. You know that like engine is a heart of automobile, a compressor is a heart of refrigerator. So we worked relentlessly on improving energy efficiency of compressor. And we started this initiative around 2000. And that time, the energy efficiency ratio, which is a measure of what is the cooling, what compressor can produce for a given electrical energy consumption. So this ratio, the higher, the more efficient. So we constantly kept on improving this energy efficiency. And the target what we have taken for this year is 7.2. And this will be amongst the highest energy efficient compressor, if not the highest across the globe. And while doing so, literally, we did not leave any stone unaltered. We literally touched each and every component, each and every subsystem, virtually every material, the design, the technology, the lubrication, the bearings, so on and so forth. So every bit of compressor was touched to reach this energy efficiencies, which are amongst the best in the world. While we have been doing that, while we have been embracing, green materials, also increasing energy efficiency of our products, it was important to realize that customers, they do not pay for necessarily for environment-friendly product. What they pay, for is what creates value for them, and therefore it was important to have a clear value proposition in our product. So when we launched our first 5-star DC range, besides being most energy efficient, we also gave clear benefits around the core functionality of a product, and therefore we promoted it not just only with a 5-star energy efficiency, but we gave open challenge in terms of a cooling age, and that's how we had to promote it. When we launched this air conditioner, we had to promote.
यार हेड ड्रायर से भी कम पावर यूज करता है. अरे एसी, हाँ.
So it was important to
यार
make.
हेड ड्रायर से भी कम पावर यूज करता है. अरे एसी, हाँ.
Yeah, so it was important to relate it to the people, so in a language what they understand. When we introduced a chest freezer, as I said, this previous year, so we had to really translate these benefits to what makes sense to customer. Yeah, Mr. Anand did talk about this green air conditioner, which was, put up as a global challenge, and this was very important initiative, which was probably one of the first of its kind by Government of India under DST and Rocky Mountain Institute of USA to develop air conditioner, which will have up to 5x lower environmental impact. And this was again coming from sustainability, and this was also directly connected to Paris Agreement, and how can we really reduce environmental burden and yet offer affordable cooling for the masses. That was the whole theme of this contest, and we were in the top 4 finalists, and though we did not win the award, but we were, organizers told that we were just behind the eventual winners. I think it was important to push the boundaries to stay ahead in order to really work on such a challenge, because it is believed that if we can crack this for air conditioner, it will certainly help in a significant way to reach Paris Agreement dream. And why I'm saying that, if you really see, this is a little busy slide. If you see that there are 9 different rectangles, and there are 9 different criterias which are put, and therefore this was put as a global challenge. And if you see the challenge criterias, they're all about being green and being able to afford. So affordable comfort without really warming the planet. That was the theme. And I think it is good to see that global community is setting up such challenges. And there were more than 2,100 responses across the globe. So it also shows the sensitivity of global community to work towards such challenges. So while these are some of the things what we did on a final or a finished product front, it is also important to stay ahead on the green curve, to look at our conversion process, the manufacturing process in terms of judicious use of energy and resources. So we wholeheartedly embrace this 3R program to reduce dependence on a virgin resources of raw material, which will lead to less energy consumption and therefore environmental burden. And one of the things which we did was in terms of a compressor. So when we started this journey, even till 2008, our compressor, the content of material was about little over 10 kilogram. We continuously, worked on optimizing the content, and today we have reached a level of about little less than 4.5 kg, more than 50% reduction. And we are not happy with that. We want to push envelope beyond this, and we want a more than 50% drop. So internally, we say that when we started the journey, our compressor was like a football. So football has now become a baseball, and we want to really now take it to the tennis ball. And that's what we are working on, and hopefully we'll be able to do that. So again, in manufacturing plants, a plethora of initiatives were taken on energy, on renewable energy. We have close to almost a 5 megawatt solar plant installation in our 2 plants. A substantial work on GHG, water reduction. So both these plants are water positive, and a lot of work was done on a waste. Yes, these are some of the images of solar panels, HVLS fans, evaporative cooling, in increasing green cover within our premises, use of natural light was all done to reduce a burden on environment. So while that was done in the in terms of our operation. We also, wanted to ensure that we have a decent recycled material content in our products. So these are two examples of refrigerator and washing machine. So we are right now close to about 30% of recycled content. Something is direct and something is, of course, through a reverse processing chain. So that has been done. So while we are doing that, naturally, it also helped to an extent to be competitive. It helped us to reduce our conversion cost by almost 100 basis points. And so that is all what we did on the manufacturing front, on the process front, and the facility front. So in order to really embrace these green practices further, we decided to embrace LCA. It is a life cycle assessment, which helps us to assess environmental impact of the products what we make and sell to the market. And this really helps us to assess what is the environmental impact, as I said. And if you can see again, over the years, we have been able to reduce, GHG consumption, and therefore number of trees which are required to offset CO2s, per year by a whopping 50%. And this journey continues. And LCA gives us good insights on what are the areas which one needs to attack. We being appliance manufacturer, we have a life phase as a most significant part in our impact and assessment and analysis, and therefore energy efficiency becomes of a paramount importance to us. And that's why you would have seen the compressor efficiency going and now amongst the best globally. While we did all these things in terms of design, the manufacturing, the internal practices, we also got into after sales use collection and responsible disposal of our products. So we have been setting incrementally increasing a target year after year, and we have now reached about 16,000 metric tons of a collection this last year, which has ended. So while we have done a few things within our boundaries, we thought that it is important to carry our supplier partners also with us. And therefore, we extended this green movement to our suppliers also. And therefore, now we are just short of about 80% of the local buy value, which is coming from a Green Co certified suppliers, so that the whole supply chain becomes green. So while we are doing that, some of these our efforts got recognized by international community. Some of the design awards what we won, they were essentially design awards. However, jury saw a very important and a significant element of a green in some of these products, and that came very clearly in a citation what we received as a part of the Good Design Award, which we got for our Green Balance air conditioner. And juries felt that the products which are first introduced in a developing country or a developing market, it becomes a benchmark for a future competition. And therefore, one cannot just simply sell the product, but it should reflect the consideration for environment, because this is a big market, is going to go exponentially. So therefore, environmental issues, if they're considered, that is a great thing. And that's what they said, that we want to praise the company's stance on fulfilling its corporate responsibility and the value which they believe that it should be provided is typical of Goodrich. So I think the community does take notice of the effort. And while we were on this journey, I think we got a lot of accolades in terms of energy efficiency awards, for our refrigerator. We got 3 years in a row, and also our plants got certified as a Green Co Platinum Plus award. And I think to be really environmentally conscious and responsible, I think we truly believe that this journey needs to continue, and it will continue and to set new benchmark, and basically to become more and more green and more sustainable in terms of both business and as well as the great blue planet what we saw in the beginning. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kulkarni. This was an amazing presentation. You started off with the blue planet, having a land, air, water, as well as a cloud cover, and you started off with showcasing how all your product ranges voluntarily. That is a great message for all of us. How you never waited for the regulatory to come and say that you have to knock away this kind of a refrigerant, this kind of an energy or whatever. Amazing slides, which has a greater impact. As you heard, fabulous presentations on how voluntarily the design, the energy efficiency, the targets, what they are aspiring for 7.2, how the compressor size coming be a mega size from a football to a baseball to a tennis ball or even a table tennis ball over a period of time, another 5 years down the line, how it will all amazing impact. The participants who are turned up in a large numbers, if you have any question, we have put up, there is a question and an answer Q&A, which is slightly on the right-hand side, right above the panel or whatever you say, which is being circled. Please write all your interesting questions to Mr. Kulkarni, who has all the answers. In meantime, as you're all typing in your questions or the queries, now we'll move on to the next interesting component, traveling on the stage set by Mr. Kulkarni. Now we go into the fireside chat with 4 experts who have done a fabulous job and amazing track record they have with respect to the green construction, technology, products, and appliances. So now I'll start with introducing our first panelist on the fireside chat. To join us is Mr. Venkateshwarlu, who is the Vice President and Head of Design at Godrej Interior, which is one of the more and more popular furniture and furnishing firm. So he has an amazing resume. Because of want of time, I'll keep it very brief with your permission, Mr. Venkatesh. He is responsible for shaping up the design team at Godrej Interior to develop furniture as lifestyle products. It is no more a conventional chair or a table, and have a wide range of customers. And he has contributed significantly in creating intellectual property IP rights for over the years, with 622 design registrations and 15 patents only with the GNB. And Mr. Venkat has been managing, motivating, and building passionate environments for designers to create products that can shape the future to the business. Once again, welcome Mr. Venkat to this wonderful pre-event done for Godrej and Bias exclusively for as a part of the Green Building Congress 2021. So the next panelist we have is Ms. Tejashree Joshi, who is heading the environmental sustainability at Godrej and Bias, and who is also a great friend of CII, IGBC, and environmental circles. And she has more than 2 decades of experience and facilitated strategy development, target setting, and achievement of various sustainability initiatives of good and green vision, to name a very, very amazing journey. And she is also in charge in order to maintain, if you go for a Godrej campus, Vikhroli, to take a tour of the wetlands. She is a complete expert and who knows in and out of the wetlands by back of her hand on the wetlands management and biodiversity enhancement. So once again, a pleasure having you, Ms. Tejashree Joshi, in our pre-event exclusive fire chat. Next is architect Pravin Kumar Suma, who is an architect by profession and has more than 25 years of experience. And he is working as a senior counselor in Indian Green Building Council, which is part of CII. And he's an amazing architect with a very unique experience with an interior designer, PMC, and leading all the IGBC certification activities associated with commercial, residential, and net zero and interiors. He is known in the interiors and homes category amongst all the top-notch architects, and he has facilitated more than 500 green building certification. That must be a very conservative number as far as architect Pravin is concerned. He has conducted, he is a well-known faculty member and trained more and more people, and he has executed enormous amount of platinum rated IGBC project, which includes Suslan, One Earth, and other world-class and globally acclaimed projects. Welcome architect Pravin Kumar Suma for this fireside chat on the green construction technology and products and appliances. Next, we have Ms. Ashwini. He is another great friend and well-known person in this entire sustainability arena. And she is an architect by qualification, and she has an amazing passion for good design and sustainable development. And she is also having more than 20 plus years work experience. She has worked in varied function, right from the product manufacturing, marketing, new product development, and sustainability and CSR. Now she's head of the CSR and sustainability reporting at the Godrej team. So we welcome Ms. Ashwini also to be a part of this amazing panel on the fireside chat. So let me start with Mr. Venkat, who is heading this entire very important portfolio of the Godrej interior. So the designs are very, very important, especially after the COVID. I myself personally felt a lot. I should have bought a better chair at my home actually, because the home chair cannot take me this kind of a conferences or sitting there for 8 hours and working for more than 8 hours and 10 hours a day, the work from home. And we in IGBC rating programs also encourages the health and well-being also. So to start with Venkat, how do you take care of the varied requirements from an individual, the rating program? At the same time, as an end user, I always look for the least cost. On top of it, as you heard from Kulkarni and others, how do you take care of the land, air, size, energy efficiency, so that you take care of the environmental aspects while designing the products for Godrej interiors? Over to you, Venkat.
Yeah, thank you for a very good introduction. Thank you for your explanation. Yeah, for around 10 years back, we went on implementation of design for an environment policy to bring the focus on following components of the product design. Starting with, we wanted to bring in a lot of focus on using recycled material and renewable materials. And next one is to increase or do a lot of evolution of materials being used in the products to increase the recyclability and biodegradability and reduce the chemicals of concern in our products. Also evaluate water and energy consumptions in our product so that we can reduce substantially, and also incorporate adequate design considerations for the end of life of a product. So these are the components of our design for environment policy. We identified and we accomplished that through detailed actionable steps incorporated in our new product development stage gate process. Like any new product development, we also use a stage gate process. We had a clear defined steps in each of those phases. So when we start a product with a design brief and when we do a research, we set the targets for a particular product. What are the green aspects to be achieved, whether in terms of recycled content, whether recyclable material, all those targets are set for each product. And once we make the concept detailing, we assess the concept design through a basic material analysis and pick LCA and identify opportunities for the improvements to meet the targets. And we do iterations in the design to achieve those targets. And subsequently, we do we have the phase of design verification validation, like any new product development, which taking care of all other aspects of requirement, including environmental aspects. In that stage, we also do a thorough material analysis and detailed LCA, which is there are very good tools available as everybody is using them. So we establish the targets are met, and then the design is released for the actual manufacturing. And at that stage, when we do the actual manufacturing using the concerned tooling and the processor set into the manufacturing line, we capture actual consumptions of the resources, and we validate what is being set as a target and capture as a green assurance card for each of our products. So this is how the whole process especially with regards to the green aspects of the product. And we ensure that all these targets are maintained, and we publish and we share with our end consumers. Obviously, as a lifestyle product, we do many more things in terms of desirability and price value equation of the products, and all that remains as another expectations while we are designing. But this is also given a adequate importance and critical considerations in when we are doing the product development. Yeah.
Thanks, Venkat. Thanks, and I'll come back to you. Now, let me turn the spotlight on Ms. Tejashree. Tejashree, you are handling a very important and a very sensitive portfolio. Can you tell us about the Godrej and Baz Manufacturing Company's vision, mission of the sustainability, and what is the process of development as well as deployment of the sustainable strategy at your campus? Over to you, Tejashree.
Thank you, Anand. I hope I'm audible.
You are.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so you see, in Godrej and Boys, environment has always been a core value for the organization, and really, if you ask me, sustainability is nothing new that we have been practicing it over the years. However, in 2007, I think Godrej and Boys was one of the first organization that signed CIS Code for Ecologically Sustainable Business Growth, which had these 10 commandments on natural capital. And from there, that triggered a thought of putting a framework to our sustainability journey, which actually was a genesis for framing our strategy for sustainability, which we call as Good and Green. Now, how did we go about this? Was while we started doing this along with a partner which we had onboarded, all the 24 BUs of Godrej Group came together, did a brainstorming in terms of what are those areas or indicators on environmental sustainability and societal obligations or responsibility that Godrej and Boys and the Godrej Group were connected to and should be working on very systematically in terms of making a strategy while doing so. So there were groups formed who did brainstorming of ideas, areas of where we can influence, and all these then were analyzed, put together, and bucketed into similar kind of thoughts, and from which actually took birth our framework strategy of Good and Green. We had three basically focus areas that came out of this entire brainstorming session and consultative workshops. A was greening of our operations and processes, with implementing or taking up very specific targets for various environmental indicators, and there were 7 environmental indicators that we chose under this. The other important aspect which we felt we could influence as a business was making good and green products, which was making products which are good for the society and green towards environment. So essentially improving the environmental quotient of our products was a focus area, and linking that to our direct business outcomes. So the indicator on this was to basically take up a certain percentage of our revenue should come from these good and green products. The third obviously important indicator which came out was on the societal aspects, which is basically making employable youth force who could also add value to our business ecosystems. And subsequently, we also realized that we need to have the engagement of our communities around our manufacturing locations. And that's where the whole bucket of community development based on needs came up. So this is how basically formulated the entire Good and Green framework that Godrej and Boys put into place in 2010. We have had a decade of journey on the Good and Green. And how did the deployment basically happen? When there were specific indicator targets that were set after the consultative workshop, like reducing our specific energy consumption and water consumption by 40%, attempting to become water positive, have achieved zero waste to landfill from all our manufacturing activities, increase the share of renewables in our energy consumption. Then we also had an indicator on waste, which was reducing our hazardous waste, specific hazardous waste by 50%. So there were 7 environmental indicators which we took a target to be achieved over a decade, and then broke it down into year-on-year targets. these targets were then cascaded to every business and every location where the operations of Godrej and Boyce were happening. And we have a very rigorous tracking mechanism in terms ably supported by system support, as well as a team which works across all the business functions and meet on a very regular basis to track the progress and also share ideas and new technologies that may come up. So this is how we have achieved the entire deployment, the monitoring, as well as tracking of our progress. And I'm very happy to say that we have exceeded most of our targets that we had set over the last decade.
Yeah, thank you, Tejashree, for taking us through on how do you develop from a vision, mission statement for the 10 years, what you have done on good and green and the societal one also. Very good. I'll come back to you later on for more in-depth questions. And now let me ask Architect Pravin Kumar Soma. You heard from Pravin, you heard from Mr. Kulkarni how the appliances are all becoming more and more greener. They are all becoming more and more energy efficient. They are all becoming more compact, and they are also able to have a greater impact on the energy efficiency, eco-friendliness, recyclability. And you also heard from Venkat, these are all no more as furniture, and these are all has an impact on the life cycle also, with respect to how do they design, how do they impact everybody. Everybody sits and stands and sleeps so that all the furnitures and something or the other of Godrej interior will be in touch. How IGBC green building rating programs are encouraging these kind of equipments, appliances or services from a leading people like Godrej and others to be incorporated by the designers, owners, developers, or the common man also. How does this IGBC rating program encourages these kind of not only energy efficient, not only environment friendly, people friendly products, techniques and services? Over to you, Pravin.
Thank you, Chairman. Particularly, IGBC, Indian Building Council, develops an ecosystem to embrace green products and materials to aim to reduce the dependence on the virgin resources, the first fundamental thing. Then we promote recycling of construction waste. We reduce natural resources. We promote alternate materials. For example, today we don't have river sand anymore. Already we are seeing the constructions. So we promote manufacturing sand. Similarly, we have been promoting going for rapidly renewable timber. For example, natural timber when you use like teak or walnut or any other timber, they take 25 to 30 years from maturity and cut. Whereas we are promoting timber which can be harvested in a cycle of 5 to 10 years. Similarly, we replace products that harm the environment with products which do not deplete the natural resources. In India, particularly, we have Green Pro Eco Label, which assesses how green the product is based on holistic framework to achieve excellence in environmental performance, right from the selection of raw materials, the transportation, the life cycle analysis, like Mr. Sushil has told. Rating systems like IGBC Green Interiors, launched way back in 2015, is developed so far with almost 350 projects certified, particularly to promote certified products, green material finishes with low VOC, low volatile organic compounds, ergonomic furniture, the furniture designs, acoustics, furniture systems, and also have direct impact on the health and well-being of the occupants. In the last 1 year or so, and coming at also, I'm sure this particular concepts have been having a more demand. Taking the impact on COVID, I think everybody is looking at health and well-being as top priority. Of course, energy, water is anyway there. Coming to technology, technology brings efficiency. IGBC promotes green technologies. We used to have red bricks 15, 20 years back, everywhere red bricks or maybe granite or mud blocks for our building as envelope. Whereas today you see different materials due to market transformation of the green building movement. We have the autoclaved concrete blocks being used for envelope, porthum blocks, flash blocks been promoted for the envelope, which has got lowest thermal conductivity. Similarly, when you see air conditioning, we used to have the air-cooled chillers or water-cooled chillers. But today, many projects have actually advanced in terms of going for radiant cooling, which is almost achieving a COP of more than 8 and above, which is never actually imagined actually. Similarly, lighting, which I think every person in our home must have seen that transformation actually. For example, we have seen the mercury lamps, the CFLs, T12 in our life, right? Then we went to TH, then T5s, then suddenly everything vanished. Now only we see the LEDs. Today, Every home has got Alexa app, right? You can get the Alexa, you can on your TV, television sets, your AC sets, whatever you feel like. Even your lighting is actually dancing on the Alexa tones. So that is the future. Similarly, earlier to measure CO2 levels, we don't have anything. But today we have sensors, simple sensors to treat the indoor air. We are now moving towards the natural indoor plants. That is what the technology is actually doing. Similarly, technology is also helping existing buildings to extend the life. For example, you see Godrej Bhavan, which is 45 to 50 years old building in Mumbai, extended to the next 50 years, but demonstrating not only the green aspect, but going towards net zero and also circular economy. That is the main ingredient. Coming to the appliances part, IGBC promotes the Bureau of Energy Efficiency star labeling, which a common man can understand actually. When you see any house, any home, every home will definitely have one or two star labeled appliances today. If you take a refrigerator, you take air conditioning equipment, you can take a geyser, anything. Similarly, water features also been certified by IPMO and Green Pro certification. When you use these certified products, definitely there is savings of 30 to 50% water savings, which is actually over the Indian plumbing code. So what I mean is, when you procure a green certified product, what it is doing is a third party testing and due diligence at the customer level is already taken care. That is what the advantage is when you procure a green product. IGBC develops ecosystem to raise benchmarks and move towards the net zero India. Thank you, Anand.
Oh, thanks, Pravin, for highlighting and integrating and dovetailing with what you heard from Kulkarni, Venkat, and Tejashree on how IGBC is encouraging, recognizing, and rewarding with more and more greener products and encouraging end users to use more and more eco-friendly, environment-friendly, and people-friendly technology, equipment, systems, appliances, all of that. Thank you very much. I'll come back to you on some other inner based on the time available later on. Now, let me turn the spotlight on Ms. Ashwini. So you heard more from Kulkarni about the products and appliances, how they are going green. You heard from Venkat how the interior materials, right from the design and the manufacturing process, and you heard from Tejashree on the deployment, development of the strategy on sustainability. We all know that what's happening inside the Godrej and Vaya's huge campuses all over the country. But how are you taping up this green agenda, the impact to a common man in and around your plans, or how are you engaging the society and the layman, whether I'm buying a product or not, also how I should get motivated by what is happening within your campuses? Over to you, Ashwini.
Thank you, Anand. Yeah, so basically I have been associated with IGBC and the GBC since 2009 in various programs, right from Green Pro to right from Green Core to Green Pro, and various other training programs related to IGBC too. So it's a great I'm quite fortunate to really benefit from various practices I have learned from CII and from the company, and the profile at Godrej of CSR really helps me to use this knowledge and put it to good use for larger community impact. So basically at Godrej, we basically do not feel that we should be green just ourselves, but it is very important to create an ecosystem around us, which will enable us to take our journey further and really help to create more stakeholders in our green journey. So we take community as a very, very important stakeholder in our green journey. So whatever we do in and around our manufacturing location, we try to see that the environment imperatives are very much considered, and these are incorporated in all our programs. So basically in the community development, we take up initiatives related to education, we take up initiatives related to health and sanitation, environment conservation, and related to livelihood generation. And each and every aspect of these projects, we consider what is the environment positive impact as well as the negative impact. And the measures to really reduce the impact are built into each of these projects. So this way we try to see that our green approach is taken into the community, and the community gets inspired to take their journey further on the green front.
Thank you, Ashwini. In fact, you've done a great articulation of what you're doing for the several decades. One keyword, as you mentioned, livelihood. Though we would have heard this word and read many a times, especially during the pandemic for the last 18 or 20 months, lives and the livelihoods, what kind of an impact. So it is amazing to hear how you are engaging the societal benefits, taking beyond the economic and environment. Thank you very much, Ashwini. I'll come back to you. Now let me turn the spotlight again to our great designer, Mr. Venkat. Mr. Venkat, how does the design for the environment, popularly known as DFP policy, help in your Godrej Interiors sustainable journey? And as a layman, how will I get benefit out of this journey also?
Yeah. So with the concerted effort and the implementation of DFE for many years, today almost most of our products are having more than 92 to 98% of recycled material. And you may not be knowing that we have more than 2,500 product models, and we address across the segment, starting from the home furniture to the hospital ICU beds. So you can imagine we are using 92-98% of the materials are recyclable completely. That is one of the benefit we got. And the second one is we substantially reduce the VOC emissions in most of our products. We completely replaced many of our solvent-based glues, which we use in our manufacturing process. And we also use even grade boards in our panel furniture. And these things are really helped in substantially reduce VOC levels in our furniture. These are the two things. And subsequent to that, with a lot of concerted effort in all our manufactured products, especially the furniture products which we manufacture, we completely eliminated EPS as a packaging material. And in fact, we also removed wooden crates for the packaging through honeycomb paper boards. In fact, this was a huge concerted effort on a 2,500 models. It's not a few products. So that is the huge effort we did, and which really helped us to completely eliminate environmentally bad material like EPS from our packaging. And all of this process, we did not increase any cost of packaging. We could achieve in the same cost of what we were spending. In fact, in some of the cases, we could even bring down the cost of the packaging. So this is the level of benefits we got. There are still some areas we need to bring focus and get benefits because of the availability of raw materials in Indian context. We still have challenges. So these are the three major benefits we got in our journey of across the product categories. Yeah.
Thank you, Venkat, for taking us through the challenges as well as how the design for the environment DFE has made your products very unique. Can you quickly, very briefly tell us about how was the consumer response for these kind of products? You said that huge range, 2,500. Out of that, you have a lot of more and more green features, right from the material design, manufacturing, even to the packaging, has really highlighted. How was the response from the consumers when they get your product? Please share us very briefly.
Yeah, no, consumer response is I can look at in terms of what is the reaction with regards to the green aspects, which is I think what I think thought of sharing here. See, when we started our journey around 10 years back with all these sustainable products, the consumers were not, in fact, aware of it, as you all know that. In fact, very few consumers were willing to pay even marginal premium. We could not find a consumer willing to pay marginal premium. But I think with the green building movement, which we heard just now from the speakers, has really changed the whole scenario. I think today every consumer is aware of the sustainability and also that's pushing consumer to go for the sustainable products for their homes and offices and institutions, or whether laboratories or healthcare facilities. So there is a conscious effort happening because of the green building movement. I think that's really helped us to take our efforts forward. In fact, one of the recent survey, which I don't remember exactly, but it was clearly noting that 70% of consumers today have a consideration for sustainability product in their buying decision. So this is a huge change, which was not there when we started our journey. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share.
So that's a great news for all of us as a common man. 70% of the consumers are aware and they are demanding, and they are also getting a wow effect or amazing effect when you touch a product with more and more. 70% is almost like everybody converted and then inclined towards more and more greener products, and you are almost getting into the mainstreaming. Thank you, Venkat. Now let me turn the spotlight on to Ms. Tejashree. Having heard from you on the earlier round on the fireside chat, having done a fabulous job for decades together in your campus on the sustainability, what are your focus areas to going forward? Because as you heard from Mr. Kulkarni and the worldwide, I don't want to sound negative, but the occurrence of hurricanes, storms, even the western coast getting more and more storms we have never heard in the last 20-25 years itself. The frequencies are becoming more and more frequent. What is going to be the next level of the focus, the way forward, and commitments as far as the sustainability in the GNB is concerned? Over to you, Tejashree.
Right, thanks. So, Anand, you mentioned what we have done over the years particularly the last decade. And if I were to just summarize that, from our whole journey of sustainability, we have kind of generated 17,000 plus crores of revenues just from good and green products. So, that indicates the acceptability as well. We've recycled more than 441,000 metric tons of waste and diverted that from the landfills. We have kind of used more than 643,000 gigajoules of renewable energy, sequestered more than 10 lakh tons of carbon, and by the water recycling and rainwater harvesting has turned out like it's 11.4 million cubic meters of effective harvesting and recycling of water. So it kind of has a huge impact. At the same time, we have also extended services on green building certifications, and that has had its own cumulative impact, where we have greened more than 3,300 plus million square feet of built spaces. Overall, the journey has been quite enriching. We have our green products, which more than 125 products which are certified green products, more than 85 products having done a detailed life cycle analysis, and like I said, more than 23% of our revenue contributions are coming from good and green products. And so, having done that and experienced the whole journey of implementing very specific framework based indicators for performance on sustainability, now it's time to actually look into the future and look at what are those focus areas. But however, over the years, we have also done various other commitments and intend to progress on a few more in areas which are under influence. And a few of them being, we are looking at doubling our energy productivity over the next decade. So we have committed to the EP 100 initiative of the climate group. We are embarking on a journey to adopt the science-based targets, where we want to follow the 1.5-degree commitment pledge for reducing our carbon footprints. We intend to reduce our carbon intensity by 60% by 2030 over the next decade. And so the whole focus is now on carbon and decarbonizing. And as we move ahead in the business, how do we have a decarbonized pathway for the economy as well as our products and our businesses? So that is a very big focus area for us over the next decade. However, that doesn't leave out our commitments which we have made, and they stay in terms of remaining water positive, diverting more than 99% of our waste which are generated through processes from the landfill, and continue to strive to become carbon neutral as we progress on this journey. So these commitments we continue, as well as take up more challenging commitments on carbon. At the same time, we also commit to maintain at least 1/3 of our portfolio revenues coming from good and green products. Just one important thing that I would again additionally want to emphasize, A is we are working with driving the net zero building philosophy along with the World Green Building Council, and we have also signed on to it. We adopt the target of switching over to net zero buildings for new buildings by 2030, and moving on to by 2050 going completely net zero on this. And another important focus area for us now is plastics. So we have embarked on the India Plastic Pact, where there are very specific commitments in terms of how do we look at packaging plastics. Both my earlier colleagues have mentioned on what businesses are working on towards managing the packaging plastics. Our commitment is like we want to identify what are those plastics which are non-essential and necessarily reduce the use of those plastics. We want to make entire plastic packaging 100% recyclable. We want to increase the recycled content in our plastic packaging and eliminate all those types of plastics which are non-recyclable. So there are very specific targets that we are looking at under the India Plastic Pact, and moving ahead on this very focused area on sustainability.
Yeah, great, Tejashree. And then, if you don't mind, I have a request to you. You mentioned about enormous amount of numbers, actually 4 lakh tons of waste diverted. All the numbers alone, if you don't mind, you put it in the chat group so that will inspire a lot of people. You mentioned for you, it's the back of the hand. All of them are big numbers. I would request you to do that.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Now let me turn the spotlight on to architect Pravin Kumar Suma. Having heard more from Kulkarni, Venkat, Ashwini, and Tejashree, and you, Pravin, so how IGBC green building rating programs is able to create a win-win-win for 2 scenarios. One, for the economy, energy, and environment. Number 1, Pravin. Number 2, you heard from Venkat, Ashwini, and Tejashree, and Suhas also, how they are putting enormous amount of efforts, going and voluntarily doing on many things, waiting for not for the regulation or mandatory things to come in designing, manufacturing, packaging, and logistics also in a more greener than what is required at this point in time. How a designer, specifier, and end user will have a win-win-win. So there are 2 scenarios, win-win-win. One for the economy, environment, and energy. On the other side, designer, like the Godrej interiors and other team members, specifiers who specify the designers and the PMCs and others, and the end user. Over to you, Pravin.
IGBC embraces subjects which are important to the nation. First, we involve all the stakeholders. When I say stakeholders, we involve the owners, the building owners, architects, academicians, MEP consultants, green building consultants, subject experts in the building industry to develop the rating programs. 2 decades back, as you know, we only started with one single rating program and single building. And today we have actually almost 29 rating programs as in today. Since each building is itself is a different species by itself, and today we're covering buildings to built environment. So we started with one building, and it is inspired almost over 6,500 plus projects today. Thanks to initial leaders like Godrej, Wipro, ITC, who have actually done the walk the talk to promote these concepts. When you say economy, energy, environment, certainly all the concepts actually address economy, because it is not about only the particular building. We are also talking about the local economy to grow, the local people to have more jobs, more green jobs. When we talk about energy, definitely when you see 20 years back, we never thought the buildings will achieve so much benchmarks. Today, whenever we raise the benchmarks of 3 years, 4 years, every rating program, you see still the projects are actually aiming very high benchmarks than the requirement. And of course, environment, definitely when you are doing more green, we are actually doing less damage to the mother earth. And that's what Mr. Sushil also told in the morning, in the first session, that we should do. We should save and pass the resources to our future generations. Of course, manufacturers, end users, encouraging. If you see our governments, state governments, especially central governments, are promoting the green building concepts, green building movement in the country. Many state governments have been recognizing green building projects and also rewarding incentives. So I think many developers have taken its advantage, and this I believe definitely is a win-win-win for both economy, energy, environment, and also designers. Because the designers, we have Green Pro, earlier very difficult to choose materials which are certified. They have to do a lot of due diligence or third-party testing. Today, when they pick a Green Pro certified products, all the due diligence is taken care by the third-party testing also taken care. So designers also have ample scope to select materials. Of course, as I told you, it's encouraging, it's recognizing, also rewarding when you go green. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pravin. Now let me turn on the spotlight to Ms. Ashwini. Kindly let us know about few macro as well as few micro projects which can be replicated by other companies who are all listening to you, Ashwini, in order to take up the CSR or the sustainability agenda to the common man or the societal or the community development. Over to you, Ashwini.
Okay, thank you, Anand. In my experience, brief experience in CSR, I've seen that sustainability is not just an option for the CSR project, but it is the only option. So I would request in macro projects, if the companies could look at projects which are related to wastewater management, because a lot of industrialization is happening, the population is increasing, the water use is increasing, the built environment is increasing. So all this is really creating a lot of pressure on the kind of water, which is wastewater, which is getting generated in our villages and peri-urban areas. So this is a good opportunity and an impactful project which companies could take and support the communities around. So that is one area, macro project, which I would recommend to most of the companies to take up, and it's very important for them to, which can create a lot of impact. In terms of micro projects, I think the schools are the best places where a lot of projects can be taken. So projects related to wash, because the hygiene factor has increased, and initially also the schools are under stress for the drinking water and these waste water management. So project related to wash can be taken up by small, big or medium size, any kind of companies, and support various schools. In schools, also the aspect of renewable energy. So because with the stress of online education, we see that the pattern of hybrid learning is going to continue. So it's going to be an on and off. We have not now learned to learn online, and so it will continue in some different forms. So how can we enable the schools to really offset their electricity consumption and support with the renewable energy projects related to schools? Because right now also in the given condition, normal condition also, for the schools to really run a computer lab itself is quite expensive. So that is a key area which they need support on. They don't need much of the computers because that's what is given by the government, but they need support in terms of electricity, which could really run these computers and all. So all our key things, good things which we have learned, the sustainability aspect which we have learned for the company and for running of our plants, if we could use these in a micro projects related to schools, it will be really helpful and will impact our future generation and take them ahead on the green journey.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's all key learnings where we can take it forward, even at every individual, all of us, including me, how we can take it up to the young minds, schools and other things. Very good, very well said, Ashwini. Now let me move on to the last technical question to Mr. Venkat. What are the difficult challenges you faced or facing to eliminate certain non-biodegradable materials and chemicals of concern completely? How do we eliminate? Can you put some spotlight or share your experiences, Mr. Venkat?
Yeah, this is a big challenge. The technology is moving very fast. So we are always in search of certain newer technologies that can help in completely elimination of these issues in some specific materials. As Tejasri spoke about, how can we reduce the plastics? She's talking about in packaging materials, but maybe in future, sometime in future, we may have to think about not to have plastics in product as well, because even though products may last for so many years, can we have plastics which are completely biodegradable? So these are the technology areas which we are continuously watching. For instance, a newer nanotechnology claims, whom we were interacting recently, says that certain additives can be added to the plastics to make biodegradable. I'm not talking about the packaging materials. This is structural components. Can it be made in that fashion. So these are the areas we are continuously searching. And also there is a few challenges still, like this itself is a big challenge, but there are a lot of research happening. We are hoping that shortly we will have more solution, the way the speed is, with the speed that the new innovations are happening. I'm sure we will get a lot of solutions for that. And we also have some another challenges, especially chemicals of concern, especially in a titanium dioxide in powders, which we use for the coating of our metal surfaces, is a chemical of concern. And even though we use it in very negligible amount in terms of percentage, we still don't have the solution. We cannot get acceptable powder coating finishes without titanium dioxide. So these are the technical challenges. Like that, there are many different materials which are, especially on the chemicals of concern, we still need a lot of new products, new solutions, which I'm sure many people are working, but need to be available in commercial level and an acceptable price point. So that's where we are continuously searching. So that's why we are hoping that these areas we can find some solutions shortly. Yeah.
Thank you, Venkat, for throwing open and being transparent on what are the new challenges. As you rightly said, technology is changing very, very rapidly or exponentially every single day. As you are talking itself, a whole lot of things are getting changed all over. So now let me turn the spotlight on to Tejasri, and a similar question on the fireside chat. You mentioned about a lot of things, and thanks for sharing the data on the chat box also. You mentioned about the net zero, which is very closer to entire community on the sustainability, especially the IGBC, and as well as on the health and well-being. You heard a lot of discussion. Thanks for all of you. And third one, which is also a key area which we are all working for the several years from now, or several years for the last several years, on the circularity, the resource efficiency. Can you throw some light on how you all adapted implementing the circularity in your business? There may be a number of challenges. How you converted the challenges into a greater opportunity? Very briefly, Tejasri, over to you.
Right. Thanks, Anand. I think, yes, you touched the right indicator. Circularity today has to be a part of the design brief itself, I feel. And that's what we are trying to adopt. But we have actually been on this journey for some years now. Through various of our businesses. One of the business I can quote of is our tooling business, which actually developed this new product or a service line where it is extending the life of the tool by refurbishing. Instead of creating a new tool, it is actually extending the same tool. So essentially, it is saving a lot of raw resources in terms of use of virgin material and extending the use of life. But one example which I would like to cite, and which is more pertaining to the whole construction industry, is our venture into manufacturing concrete blocks and products from construction and demolition waste. So I think we were one of the first early movers in this, having been on this journey for since 2017, and faced the challenges that we faced while introducing a new concept and a new product line. Like Suhas earlier mentioned, that customers don't necessarily pay for product which is green, but they look for a value in the product, and we have experienced this. But our commitment and belief that bringing in green quotient or improving the green quotient in the product states, uh, we have learned a lot of things on the journey. We have in fact been involved in developing the whole ecosystem of how, from where does the raw material come in, who gives us the raw material. It has to be essentially of the quality that can be used for recycling and creating good quality products which are durable and withstand all the standards that are required for the construction industry. But at the same time, promote the whole concept in various spaces, like infrastructure, where you have a lot of use of material which is required, which not essentially are structural members, or do not require that strength that needs to come from virgin concrete. So it may be roadworks, it may be a lot of non structural members in the development, infrastructure development. And that's where we have been pushing to. We are working with the Municipal Corporation of Mumbai in various projects like the coastal road projects and many other infra projects. We have also now started work on precast concrete products, which are essentially using the recycled construction debris as one of the components of raw material. So, moving from a block to just pavers or walling solutions, we are now moving towards even precast members where this could be used as a in fact, we are doing that with our partners. So I think the whole journey is there, and we are experiencing challenges are many. We need to overcome, and one of them I would like to highlight is there needs to essentially be some policy support for this endeavor, because ultimately it is contributing to the entire resource conservation of the country. So we look out for governments in terms of at least giving some differential treatment in GST rate taxations in terms of promoting the whole green and resource efficiency concept in the country. So, and I'm sure there are many avenues where we are trying to work and discuss with the authorities in terms of how do we take this ahead.
Thank you. It's wonderful to hear that there is an amazing story how you are overcoming many challenges, as well as throwing open enormous amount of opportunity, how you moved from a block to the pavers to the precast, whatever the beams and columns and other services. Amazing. So now let me turn my spotlight to Mr. Ashwini. Ms. Ashwini, when you talk about a CSR and sustainability reporting, it's a subject by itself. Having heard from you, I have got a bucket list of things to be done. So how do you prioritize, and how do I start, and where do I start from? At least can you tell from based on your rich experience as a common man or as an organization, where do I start? Because the list will be endless. What do you do?
Yeah. So for us, it becomes quite easy, because when it comes to a community engagement, we basically take up the topic first, which is most felt or is appealing to the community. But while doing this, we do not lose sight of the most important issues in the community also. So maybe the community will highlight something as a need for a school, but we see that the environment is so bad that the waste management is in fact a more important area. So usually what we do is we take up projects which really marry these two. So what we do is we take up a project with the school, and we see that the children really work on the sanitation and the village sanitation projects. So this way, we try to see a balance between what is the stated need which the community comes out with, and what is really the actual need. And in doing so, we also do, as a corporate, we get this, take this advantage of the detailed analysis which we do in each and every project of ours. So we bring to the community projects also. So each of our projects basically has a very detailed baseline survey which is conducted. We had, in the case of Khalapur, one of our project site, we for the water projects, we conducted the WattScan study for really ascertaining the water table level and the various aquifers where the water is available, what is the state of various water bodies, and then we took on the projects related to water. So from a corporate perspective, we bring in these benefits to the community project of making it more, I would say, impact driven and more structured in implementation. So for setting a priority, I would say for any community project, we have to take up projects which really appeal to the community, but do it in a manner which will be having a large, long-term sustained impact.
Thank you, Ashwini, for giving us your word of wisdom and knowledge on how do I prioritize. Now I come to the amazing fire chat we all had with the great experts. Before you conclude, I'll start with Venkat. The urgency for accelerated climate action has never been greater, like what you're all having today, actually. So in 30 seconds, can you all summarize? I'll start with Venkat. On the urgency, what we all have to do on the climate action, why one should do as a common man. In 30 seconds, over to you, Venkat.
Yeah. See, I'm coming from a product design background, so I will give an example of product design. See, product design, the purpose of product design is to improve the quality of life for the many people. So that is the primary purpose any product has to be made. So in the process, if we end up generate lot of pollution or the materials which are not biodegradable or create environmental impact in the environment. We have seen so many things are happening today. If you look at the air pollution itself, leading to the reduction of life expectancy substantially. So this is completely working against the purpose of a product design. So when we take the primary purpose of a product design, how can we get away from that? So there is no option but just work on green products and green initiatives. I think it has become now primary aspect of any product design.
Well said, Venkat. What do you, Tejashree? What is the one compelling reason one should go for green?
I think the most compelling reason we all need to understand is, the Mother Nature doesn't need us. We need Mother Nature. So, I think there's no two ways about it. And the amount of damage we have done over the last century, as against so many millions of years before that, it needs that amount of accelerated action to, do something better than what we have as a race been performing. So, and all these resources basically are for us and our future generations. It is every small bit done by any individual, forget about organizations or anybody, is definitely going to contribute to the betterment. And I think it's on a personal level, we need to be responsible. Obviously, the organizations start becoming also are responsible. And what are organizations? They are people. So it is a culture that we develop for ourselves, for our immediate family members, as well as our communities and organizations. I think that's going to make the impact really.
Great, well said, Tejashree. Individually, setting the temperature at 24, if I increase it by 26, that is, as you rightly said, at an individual level, simple actions, what you take on ground will have a greater impact. Very well said. Over to you, Pravin. What is the one single compelling reason why should I go for green? Why should I go green?
Yes, green buildings make business sense. For the last 20 years is done, but today we have to do further up actually. Not only business sense, it is also creating the health and well-being of the occupants. It is proven in the 2 decades of growing numbers of projects, one building to 6,500 projects, and it is still long way, according to me. IGBC is closely working with World Building Council on the climatic goals. This year, on the Earth Day, on April 24th, we launched the IGBC mission on net zero. The vision of India to become one of the foremost countries in transforming net zero carbon by 2050. That is our vision. When a project embraces green building concepts, we are doing less damage. Once again, I'm saying this one, good to our environment and our mother earth. We should save and pass the resources to our future generations. All this would actually help meet our sustainable development goals 2030 and also climate goals of net zero, energy, water, waste, carbon by 2050. It is not about IGBC. We should work with all the stakeholders to make our country decarbonate India, and we all should lead from front. Thank you.
Very well said. Whatever you do, small, big, tall, flat, it should honor the country's commitment on the sustainable development goals, as well as create a better environment for the entire planet Earth and pass on a better planet Earth to the generations to come. Very well said, Pravin. Over to you, Ashwini. What is the one single reason, compelling reason, why should I go green?
So one single reason I would say is now it is very evidently felt by all of us. And I think we owe it to the future generation to really to protect and give them the good environment which we have enjoyed till now, and make all efforts to see that the earth improves, or the earth environment of earth is sustained. So that's my reason, which I feel that we should go green. Yeah.
Very well said, Ashwini. Now I have a couple of minutes before I conclude. Mr. Kulkarni, if you are around, there is a question to you, sir. So you talked about various products and innovations and technological breakthrough you have done, but appliances in the ending slide, you mentioned about the oven to fridge to washing machine, a whole lot of range. One of the participants asked how all these appliances can talk to each other. Can you throw some future perspectives on innovation and automation? Over to you, Kulkarni.
Unmute, sir. Sir, you are in mute.
Sir, you are on mute.
Sorry, I started my video feed without switching on the audio.
Oh, no,
right. So yeah. So I think it's a good question. It is a relevant question in the context of what is happening at international level and also happening at a national level. Yes, it is. It is very much possible to see that devices can talk to each other, and I don't think this is a matter of any proving of this technology. Technology is available. Technology is proven. The integrations is very much possible. We have ourselves also developed our own solution as a POC, what we call it as a POC. It's a proof of concept. It's not at all difficult, because we know that you can interact with your individual appliance through your mobile phone. So once you're getting some common platform, be it your mobile or be it your interconnecting device, then they can always talk to each other. We have seen that this is being done on the shop floor already, and it's a part of Industry 4.0. So the same concept can very well be deployed at a household.
Thank you, Mr. Shugas Kulkarni. Another question to Mr. Venkat. Venkat, since you are saying that there is a huge range of products available, but this work from home and back to office, these are all the terminologies now becoming WFH was very popular, work from home.
Yeah.
Now people are calling that come back to office or go back to whatever. So it is all becoming, I would love to stand and give a presentation, sit and all that. How do you cope up with the very dynamic needs with the space like Mumbai? It's always every square mm is $1 million. How do you balance these two? And this pandemic has enlarged expectations from each and every product.
Yeah.
Over to you, Venkat, very briefly.
Yeah. Work from home is a big theme, and in fact, it was a great opportunity also. Whenever there is a problem, I think there is a lot of innovations come out, and we can use our creative side of our brains and come up with products. In fact, we went through a big hurdle for this requirement because it was suddenly came out of nowhere. So in fact, we did a very collaborative exercise and developed almost more than 30 products in a short span of few months, and which are addressing every space of the house. So if somebody will see today, when you look at work from home, we cannot give a standard desk and table and say that you work. So when we realize the people live in different situations, different places, different constraints with the number of people in their house, we did a thorough research, and since everybody was experiencing the same situation, we could easily identify opportunities to see how you can work at any corner, any place in the house. And then we created products and solutions which can be in terms of size, flexibility, multifunctionality, which are starting from maybe very few 1,000 rupees products to a complex product which can serve. It can be converted completely from a folding table or a folding bed, and in a sofa in a living room. 5 members of the family can work simultaneously. So not just a sofa, you have a desk built into it, and it has an arrangement. So that's how we created solutions. When we understood the need is to create solutions every corner of house, whatever the space they have, I need to have a product. So we introduced almost 30 products and given a solution for any place in the house, starting for a simple laptop table, which is height adjustable, which can be used on a sofa of any size, and you can adjust the height, which is an adequate width and size so it can work. So like that, from a small product, we created solutions we can work on the bed as well. So that is the level of solutions we created. So I think that's one aspect, and multifunctionality is the thing. And we in fact develop many products today. In fact, some of our products in a room of 10 by 10, you can have a sofa bed which can be converted into a workstation, which can be also have a elaborate king size bed and has a built-in fully storage, and it can make, like, you can do everything in one product in a 10 by 10 room. So that is the level of concepts we developed, and in fact many of them are introduced in the market already.
Thank you, Venkat. So there's another interesting question for Tejasri. You mentioned about a lot of numbers. People have appreciated you, Tejasri. Once again, thank you for we salute you and for the commendable efforts by you and your team. Somebody is asking, as a developer, as a home buyer, what is the benefit? You talked about the numbers, so many million tons, gigajoules and all this. No, as a developer who's handling only a 2 lakh square feet project, by adopting IGBC rating program, what is the benefit I get? Or if I buy a green home certified by IGBC, what is the benefit I get as I bought only 800 square feet of a flat in a multi-story apartment? Over to you, Tejasri.
Right. Yeah, so if you actually look at it, individually at individual level, how does it benefit me? There are many things. In fact, there's one thing that that the space you're occupying has done its bit on reducing the damage that any construction space would create on environment is the first thing. It is the entire planning of the project which actually benefits any individual household dwellers as well, because it starts right from the orientation of the building. How do we optimize the use of energy? How do we reduce the ingress of heat into the building? How do we improve the greenery around the project? Also looking at what kind of landscapes you are doing, which is efficient, which is local, which is indigenous, so overall benefiting the microclimate of the region. And at the same time, the material which is being used has had its share of making the entire project green. The whole green building also has so many components which are more efficient, like the water fixtures or components which are part of the entire dwelling. Are efficient effectively over its lifetime, and your an individual usage, you are going to reduce the use of water consumption yourself. I know water is not priced at the way the energy is priced today. Really, you cannot put a value in terms of money of how much water you're saving. But if you look at the impact, you only probably realize the value of water when it is not there. And I always say that, so the whole concept of green building, of harvesting the water in the premise, which makes it available for the users, for the occupants of the building to sustainably withdraw over a longer period of time. And you would have heard about many examples where the wells get dried. So this is where you are sustaining your own occupation in the building. Water recycling is offsetting almost 30 to 40% of your prime water use by using recycled water for flushing and other applications. So that's where you're reducing the impact of withdrawing fresh water from the ground. This actually reduces the dependency on external resources that are coming in the building. And at an individual level, I think they go a long way in terms of anybody opting for these spaces. And like I said, the whole passive architecture actually supports comfort living and wellness. So use of paints, use of material which is indoors, very low VOC contents or no VOC contents, all this actually adds to the well-being of an occupant of the building. So on an individual level, if you look at the numbers as an impact, it may not be as an organization will do or a project will do, but there is a very definite connect to well-being, health, and in turn how you're contributing to bettering the whole concept of sustainable consumption. That is how I would probably like to answer this.
Thank you, Tejasri, for your wonderful answer on the response. Now let me ask Ashwini. See, we are talking in now no more in silos about the product design, how it is manufactured, the R&D efforts, and this one. So how you will be able to mainstream the entire, because the CSR, it is not that you will only wait for the fundings and other things. How will you, one of the questions what they asked is, how do you make it as a holistic one? How it will be able to be seen as an impact across the sectors, across the length and breadth of this country actually? You are on mute.
See, one of the very important part of CSR is basically awareness creation and capacity building. So when it comes to CSR, if you see each and every project, be it any company, an important part of it is to really create awareness about the positive impact and the negative impact of environment also. So when it comes to the projects related to health and sanitation, so when it comes to say a project related to education also, it is a CSR teams of various companies which are really driving and creating awareness in the community as how while doing these projects also, how it can be done in a green way. So take a simple example of the schools also. So when it comes to schools, what is the kind of material which can be used? There is a craze to really use different kind of materials so that the project comes out quite impressive or different and distinct. But when it comes to designing, because all these schools have a long-term plan, it is never made in a single go. So basically, there is when it comes to our projects, we design in such a way that we use more and more of local materials, and we promote it saying that this is something which will be always available to you. And this will be something which can help you to build on the projects in phases. So this way, all these movement and the capacity building is really in a subtle way actually promoting green movement across the country. And a key element of CSR, if you see, a lot of inputs is going into education sector, and this is where most of the projects can really help in building that element of sustainability and increase the awareness and I would say appreciation for environment in the whole community.
Thank you, Ashwini. Now let me turn on to architect Pravin. Pravin is one of the participants has said we started off by saying 5 elements of nature, India's 7,000, 10,000 year old history. They are asking how IGBC rating program enhances more and more designers, end users, and specifiers, and all of us in the construction industry to adopt our technology. Is it equipping the technology and tradition to coexist and make because the music has become contemporary, food has become contemporary, whether the green building design, construction, and operation, how IGBC rating program equips in making it more contemporary? We are not saying no to technology. That's what the question from our panel is. Over to you, very briefly.
It is always not technology only alone. For example, right from our own building, GBC building way back in 2001, 2002, they designed traditional plus technology integration actually. So I still believe that we should not forget our ancient wisdom. So it should be always the wisdom which we carried in the ancient time plus the new technology that we take in future. Because then only we going to balance it. We should not only depend on technology altogether. So when you have technology, you should always have a case too, which is when you fall back always. For example, when you see in somebody raise that water issue, I think in social presentation, that when you have drought, when you have more rains, I think you should have some kind of option where you should fall back, because when you're in a drought situation, how you can utilize the water saved previously. I think you should balance, then only it'll work. So according to me, I think the technology is already happening, and it will further modify and will get. As Mr. Sushi also told that a home today automation is very normal actually. So everybody can use their app, mobile to connect everything. So plus they should not forget that even the traditional way of thinking also still matters. Because that's why if you see in the pandemic, they actually given that realize that we are using our haldi to treat our health actually. We're not using any medicine. We are still following the traditional the tips which our mother and father shared. I think that we should not forget. That's not my thinking.
Okay, so you're saying that it should be contemporary and tradition and technology can coexist and amalgamations and come. So this fireside chat can keep on going, but there are a lot of participants who have turned up in a large number. We are already exceeded. So having heard all the great stalwarts, 5 of them, that reminds me one of the very powerful and the quote which I liked from the father of our nation, Mahatma Gandhi said about happiness. Happiness is when what you think, what you say, what you do are in harmony. Here is a panel which has an R&D head, which has a design head, which has a CSR head, IGBC certification head, as well as the consulting and other heads, saying that they have already thinking about making a better products for people, environment, and economics also, and they are manufacturing it, as Tejasri and others mentioned. The manufacturing process are going greener, and the end of the day, they are taking it to the masses through the CSR and other roads. So what we think, what we say, what you do, if they are all in harmony with going green, I think we can all create an enormous amount of positive influence, inspire more people, motivate more and more people as the brand ambassadors and the true champions. You heard from them in this fireside chat. We are all in for a big time in making a world a better place to live with. Every answers are available, solutions are available around us. Only thing is we have to wear a proper lens to see that way. So once again, we in IGBC thank Godrej and Bias team for coming and joining us in a wonderful presentation led by Suhas Kulkarni. Then engaging in a beautiful fireside chat with on the green construction, technology, products and applications from Venkat, Ashwini, Tejashree and Pravin Kumar Suma. Once again, we in IGBC thank you all for your valuable time and sharing your rich experience, knowledge and showing us the path. So over to you, Sandeep. Yeah. So so once again, I thank you all. Once again, I remind you, as Sandeep mentioned, 17th, 18th, and 19th and 20th of November, kindly block. You will hear more from people like Kulkarnis and Venkats, the internationally and nationally renowned people, to further motivate us into deep dive into the sustainability. So then similar upcoming next webinar is on integrated urban energy systems for greener buildings. That is on 9th of November after the Deepavali. And whosoever is hearing, wish you all have a great green Diwali. Take care. Have a great time. See you all on 9th of November for the next upcoming webinar. Thank you once again, the entire Godrej team and all the panelists and participants who have made this exclusive webinar conducted as a part of the Green Building Congress 2021 for the premium supporter, Godrej and Bias Manufacturing Company Limited. Have a great evening. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anand.
Thank you, Tejashree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Venkat. Thank you, Ashwini. Thank you, Suhas. Thank you, Pravin.
Thank you very much.